Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
Okay, so this week we are talking about The Ledge, which I'm so curious on where, Joe, you found this movie. First of all, because second of all, you hate heights.
Yes.
And so I was like, and it's a horror movie. So.
Okay. So small point of clarification real quick before we get into it.
You picked the wrong movie. I meant.
Did I watch
okay.
the
Well,
wrong movie?
actually, here's the background. So we had just done some ice climbing when I was thinking about picking this movie. And so I was like looking at, I loved it. I thought it was super fun. So when we got home, I was like, okay, what movie am I gonna?
No,
Well, got home from the ice climb, and then I had to pick a movie. So I was
what did you think was super fun?
The
ice climbing.
Gotcha.
I liked
cool. Continue.
Gotcha. So and I have no problem doing that because I'm not afraid of heights so much as I am afraid of free fall. If I'm like roped in, we're good to go.
Okay.
But if I'm like on the side of the mountain as they were in this movie, that's terrifying to me. So small point. But anyway, so we got home and I was looking at new movies and I saw this one came out and it looked like a thriller around rock climbing. And the only other, which it was. So I was like, that sounds interesting enough where I would pick it. And that was pretty much all that went into it. I had watched the Jimmy Chin movie, Free Solo. And I remember being so anxious watching that movie. Like I remember pacing back and forth in our apartment when we were watching it because it was just stressing me out to watch this guy climb up El Capitan. I think that was it. But anyway, yeah. So I watched this movie and I was kind of expecting something somewhat similar. And that was really all that went into the pick.
So for you, like, even though like it freaks you out, you still enjoy watching it, right? Or was this because did you like Free Solo or no?
I did, just because I thought it was really cool that he was able to do it. Now, gotcha. I think that could have gone a different direction very easily. Like this, for example, like I don't love the idea of like people falling off the mountain, but being that it's a movie and not a documentary, it's, hits a little different. But
yeah, I'm curious because like for me, like I enjoy watching things that freak me out. So I don't know if that was the same for you.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say. I think it's more like I like watching things on subjects that I'm like interested in that moment than it is like that I'm gonna like seek out something that like freaks me out.
You're definitely the in the moment person. Like if you're into something, you're gonna watch everything.
No, yeah, that's definitely me. I'm definitely like, oh, this is what I'm doing like right now.
Right.
But anyway, this movie, I watched the trailer and I was just like, okay, so it's like a thriller, like, someone dies and then they got to chase him up the Dolomites. And I was like, that sounds like interesting premise.
Heard of this movie before? Or you found it by searching?
There's no way you heard of this movie before.
I just found it by searching.
Cool.
I think I searched like new movies and then I saw that this was in it and I was like, oh, climbing. Perfect.
That's the most Joe searched movie I think I've ever heard.
New movies
climbing. Perfect.
But like that being said, like I think I could sum up this movie in about one or two sentences being like someone died, and then their partner got chased up the Dolomites, the end.
You could do one word, bad.
I was waiting for it.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear this. Now,
great. It was great. It's my favorite movie, actually.
Now we have this thing in football. There's this thing called, Joe, you know this at least, the Dalton scale. Andy Dalton, quarterback. He's kind of like the level of like the lower of the mid. He's like good, but like
the
not.
most average. Like you're not going to get in the playoffs probably.
He'll like take you maybe to the playoffs, but usually not. Like it's like
probably like just close enough to like really disappoint you, you know?
Right. Like there's a lot of promise and it just never happens. Now not this had promise, but like I feel like we should have a Tusk scale. So like they're like
I want to know if this is better or worse than Tusk.
Or is that the very bottom? So maybe we don't use that as the scale.
Yeah, I mean that is just like the floor.
But what is this compared to Tusk for you?
This had promise. I think why it's so bad is because it has somewhat of a cool plot that just like didn't. It seemed like when I realized what the plot was, it was like, oh, this is like an interesting idea, and then it was just bad.
I want to say the acting definitely contributed to the badness.
Yeah, no, 100%. I felt like this, like I guess I didn't really. I was kind of expecting like a kind of an indie film, and I feel like this was just like. I mean, it was, but it was, the acting was not that great.
You could just tell this was a micro budget, which is fine. I mean, it's cool. Like part of me, like I didn't love the movie, but I didn't hate it. Like I'm glad you picked it because I feel like we've all kind of done those random picks where we're like, that looks fun. Let's go for it. And you went for it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I wish it was more of a survival horror. So like not really them just kind of climbing and getting stuck on the ledge rather than some people trying to kill, because that did not work for me at all. I was like, why is this guy so mean? Why is he just trying to what is going on? Like,
yeah.
Like, hey, dude, cut it out, you doofus. What are you doing?
Like more of like the Frozen. You saw Frozen, or you know what Frozen, that ski movie. Along the lines of that, I think would have made this better for me.
Well, yeah, see, I don't even know, because I feel like both with Frozen and with this movie, you both almost have like too much time and not enough time, because the story like I said, like I could sum it up in just a few sentences. And you got to make that last like, whatever, like an hour and a half or something. And like, same thing with Frozen. Like you're stuck in the chair. You got to make some stuff happen. Like, otherwise that's a pretty boring movie.
That's 27 hours.
Huh?
Under 27 hours, the guy's stuck the whole movie pretty much.
Yeah. Survival horror. I mean, you have the you have that Blake Lively shark movie where she's just stuck on that thing the whole, like a lot of shark movies, it's very just one spot the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think if they're done well, they're good.
Yeah. So I think with this one in particular, I 100% agree. I think the acting could have been better. I actually really liked, I forget her name, the like main character who was doing, the gal who was doing the climbing. I liked her.
She was great.
Actually,
she was pretty good. Actually, yeah, she was the best one.
Pretty much everyone else I didn't really like.
I wrote down, are they British or just bad actors?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell.
Wait, as in
like they sounded kind of British, but I think they were just bad acting.
I gotcha. I was like, British people are actually probably some of the best actors, actually. So
I don't know.
They're great at
like everyone who's British, and then you find out they're British after, and you're like, how? What?
Yeah.
Why are you such a good actor? Like, I didn't even know you were British.
This also got super dark super quickly. Like this was like, it started off like, oh, it's gonna be a fun rock climb, for your deceased whatever, and then they start drinking, and then shit hits the fan.
Dude, they're like, we get to do at least 2 hours on that ledge. We got to get to it quick.
True. I mean, I do like that about this movie. Is like it literally just dove right into the story like really quickly. So
yeah, I will say though, when Joe picked it and he posted, and I saw the ledge, and I didn't know if it was like, I didn't realize it was like a horror scare movie. You can kind of tell by like the cover though that it's not like a doc or like
right.
It might lean that way, but I was like, oh, this might be cool. Like Joe said, like Free Solo was good. Meru, which is also Jimmy Chin, amazing. The Alpinist, if you guys didn't watch that,
I that's on my list to watch in the near future.
So good. I mean, I don't know if you know the ending or not because it's a real life, but I won't spoil it. But there's a different ending to it.
Not the ledge ending.
No, it wasn't quite like Ledge. It was a little
So
different.
this isn't
than
based on
Ledge.
a true story.
No one like
but I
fell in a flaming sleeping bag or whatever.
Yes, that part, but like the rest. But so I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, like this could be interesting. And then I, kind of did very minimal background before watching it, basically like trying to find where I could watch it. And I was like, oh, it's an interesting premise, at least. Like,
yeah,
sounds kind of interesting. And then it just,
it could have been shorter. It felt like a bunch of rock climbers just wanted to make a movie and have no experience in film. They're like, let's make a horror movie about rock climbing, and they've never made a movie ever.
There's your 1-star review you can leave.
Also, this gets me every time. Like every movie, I get it if it's like a superhero movie or whatever because the person's stronger, but like the main person, like the main bad guy or bad girl or whatever, they're usually like always stronger and like better equipped at fighting than everyone else. Like, how did this guy just fend himself from all of his friends? Like, how did I don't understand. Like, this guy didn't seem like he was super jacked or anything. Like, they're but that happens in a lot of movies where like the main bad guy is always like stronger somehow than everyone else. I don't understand that never.
I just got the impression that he was like super manipulative, and
oh yeah,
I actually think, and this is what kind of is a little disappointing to me about this movie, is like I actually feel like they did a really good job in terms of the story writing, because you kind of can start to understand where a lot of the not so crazy guys are coming from, because like they're trying to protect the terrible thing they did before. They actually do feel some remorse about it, or at least they were trying to get him to show remorse. And I don't know, like I feel like making that actually somewhat makes sense in the story. Like I think they did a pretty good job with that. Same thing with tying in like the boyfriend who fell. Like I actually feel like the character development was at least written to be there.
With
like
her,
I just don't feel like it was actually executed that well.
There was just no like if my group of friends and I were climbing and one of my friends tried to sexually assault somebody and then try to kill someone, I would be like,
we're going home.
I would literally back off, call the cop. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, screw you.
These guys were just like, to do.
I was like, why are these guys all going along with it? It didn't make
to be only devil's advocate, just because this is what you usually do when people shit on horror movies. You're like, you never know. You said this in so many podcasts. You wouldn't know if you were really in that situation, what you would do.
You had to use my medicine against me.
Well, I almost wish that because like when they first they bashed her head in or whatever, and they're like, they were like making the argument that like, oh, her DNA, like our DNA is like in her like fingernails or whatever. Like that part, I actually did not like the justification. But like, if they were like, if I accuse you of killing her, the real bad guy, that he would just be like, well, I'll tell about what happened like 10 years ago or whenever that prior thing happened. Like that would make way more sense. Like blackmailing them into doing this as opposed to like being like, oh no, yeah, I guess we're just too deep now, so we'll just kill her. That's terrible.
They were dedicated too. Like they were all like, they were literally, I mean, they did what they wanted to do. They did what they came there to do, which was climb the ledge. Right. So they kind of succeeded in that way.
I don't know. This was also an offshoot of Scream. It was like originally going to be one of the Screams. And then
this is a prequel.
They just renamed it to The Ledge.
Yeah.
They forgot the costume. So they had to shoot it.
I did love the notably bad CGI.
Yeah.
And there was a shot. I would say some of the shots are actually pretty cool, like the drone shots. But there was a shot. They didn't need to use CGI. I mean, they probably did actually, because they probably weren't actually at a ledge, or like a huge ledge. But there was a shot of her climbing, and her hands are like blurred to match the background. And I was like, this, like, you just at least shoot a little further away.
Not gonna lie, I didn't even notice that, but I'm super happy that you did.
I took a picture of it. I audibly laughed. Let's see if I can find it. Look at her right hand.
There's a potential security threat detected.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
It looks like she doesn't. It looks like she just doesn't have.
And that was a cut. That was like quite a few of the shots too.
No,
That-
And
I
this
noticed
looks like
that
a horror,
immediately,
like a, one of those photos where it's like I saw the Sasquatch or something, where it's like slightly off. Or
Yep.
yeah,
Wow.
that's interesting.
Oops.
But
Oopsies.
yeah, I mean, I was surprised when I started watching this. I was like, this was a Joe pick. Hey, because this is more up my alley, like technically. So
Well, I thought it was gonna. I actually do think this was more thriller than horror.
for sure, I think the fact that they were like trying to kill her was the horror for me at least, because the whole ledge stuff was the thrill, and then the horror was them trying to kill her.
Yeah, but I feel like they had to exist at the same time because she wouldn't be up there like that
Right.
if they weren't trying to kill her. So like I don't know. Like I don't know if we talk about like horror comedy horror sometimes. I feel like this was thriller horror, not
Yes.
horror thriller.
Totally.
Like it's thrill forward, not horror forward. Although
this is listed as thriller drama.
I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
can see
definitely
this
drama too.
yeah, it's pretty dramatic.
Drama. Oh, Jesse, you should read a review for this one.
I have
definitely
I have
should.
4 real quick ones up ready to read. Actually,
Perfect. I was like, this
Pretty
would be a good
good.
one to do it.
Yeah, I could read through these 1 stars all day, honestly, but
Let's do
we'll
it.
fire.
How
through
many of
these
those
4.
are from you?
That's not. I don't want to disclose that.
Is there any
one of them?
10-star reviews?
I think there technically are, and
Wow.
I'm doing this on IMDb, so it's 1 out of 10 rather than 1 out of 5. So I feel like it's even.
Gotcha.
worse.
Okay.
There is one review that says I was bored and created an account to see if there was a way to give negative stars, and they wanted to give it a -10, and they just were like, "This review isn't long enough, so I'm gonna have to keep typing," kind of thing. But let's look. So first one from Andre Diogo, 794-1. Worst movie I've ever seen. You know those movies where you get angry issues with every action from the victim? Well, that's a great option. The main actor is the most stupid, dumbest person on the planet. The plot itself is really bad. 1 out of 10 stars from Jennifer with a G Gates. Warning, spoilers. So if you want to turn this
All right.
podcast off, go watch the movie. Easily the worst movie I've ever seen. 0 redeeming qualities. No way to form any attachment to characters despite the attempt through the main character's love for her fiance. The premise was terrible and could have literally been any other reason for chasing down the main character besides attempted rape. Terrible. Couldn't even find humor in poor quality. From Jen, these are another Jen. Don't waste your time. Too many unanswered questions. This is my favorite one. Unrealistic in every way. Where are they? What accent do they have? What happened in the past that they kept bringing up? Why does the mountain scenery continue to change from every point of view? Save yourself and don't sit on the ledge of your seat for this one. No cliffhangers here. That's my favorite one.
That's
3 out of 9 people found this helpful. Yeah.
I quite like that. I will say this is not the worst movie.
Puns.
This
Let me
is
pull a
not the worst
10-star
movie I've
up,
ever seen.
actually.
I've seen way worse movies than this.
Yeah, I agree. Tusk was way worse. That's where
Way
I
worse.
stand on this. Tusk was way worse. I would pick this every day over Tusk.
Yep.
It's
It
oh,
has
sorry.
1 10-star review though.
You should read that one.
From J Cuffney 16 from J Tungsten 16. The Ledge is a great intense movie. 10 out of 10. The Ledge was a complete surprise. I was hooked from frame 1. The story, acting, and cinematography were all absolutely amazing. I can't remember the last time I was on the edge of my couch cringing like I was watching this masterpiece. This is a great movie and needs to be watched and supported.
Wow. I love that. I love that
director or something?
movies can have both. It's probably directors.
This needs to be supported. People need to go out and buy this movie.
Honestly, that sounds just like a director or like a cinematographer would say. Like,
They said
frame
cringe.
one. Like,
Frame
come on.
1. They said cringe like Joe Cuffney says a lot. Just saying.
Maybe it was secretly me.
I was hooked from frame one. The story, acting, and cinematography.
That's everything.
6 out of 13 people found this helpful.
I do enjoy. I was happy that she killed him, because if that guy didn't die, this movie would have been a waste.
Yeah, me too. Like
He was just so angry. Why did he have so much anger?
he had to be like, I don't know. I was like, he's got to have some sort of problem, you know. He's just because like he was. I mean, he's not the only problem, but like he was the problem.
He was literally the problem. The other
Yeah.
friends wouldn't have done anything. Although
Right.
they did kind of like, I mean,
go along with it before,
along with
but like
Maybe there's
honestly,
like a
like
cult prequel to it.
it's true.
ooh,
But like, why would you go on a trip with this guy?
I don't know. That's what I don't know either. Like what they would, there's something off about him for sure.
Especially like 10 years later or however.
Yeah, has he
long.
never done this before? Like, or has he done this before? I got the feeling that he's done this type of thing before, because his friends were like, they were like, when they were drinking or whatever, they're like, oh, he's just fucked up. Like he's like whatever. Like it seems like they've gone through this before.
Yeah.
Maybe not the killing part, but the sexual assault thing. But he was also like engaged or married or something.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. That guy was messed up.
I think
But-
he is British.
Is he really? That's funny. So he's a bad actor and he's British. Because his accent would go in and out. I wasn't sure.
Oh, well, this country of origin for the movie, UK.
So they're
There you go.
British. Okay, on that note, I couldn't find any information about this, like locations, nothing. So that's a little bare category for this episode.
I would have to imagine, and this is totally a guess because I couldn't find anything either. But like it takes place in the Dolomites. So I would imagine at least some of it's maybe there.
Maybe like the camping scenes and stuff, but I could see just like the studio being like the cliff scenes, because like clearly there was not much budget to this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. The outside parts were believable, but now after seeing that image you showed, it's like, yeah, maybe a lot of the climbing even was just, green screen or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure like they had like a little wall and they just green screened the top and bottom, and they.
Yeah.
Did you see there's 3 goofs listed on IMDb for the movie?
3 what?
Goofs.
Oh, what are they?
During the chase of the second girl, the really fast sunrise transitions so quickly it almost seems like the night suddenly changes into day. During the chase, it appears that the girl hides the camera in the woods under some grass when in fact she dropped it and is scrambling to find it in the dark. She grabs it and runs away. Shortly after that, she drops the camera on a ledge. Then it appears that she climbs down to get it, even though they don't really show her climbing downwards. When the girl goes up the ledge, a shot of it from the sky is seen. Near the end of the movie, a similar shot is seen, but it's in a completely different ledge that doesn't even look close.
Yep. It's fun. I want to know who does the goofs on IMDb. Like, who is the one who watches these movies and is like and is like looking for goofs to.
I mean,
caught a
apparently
good
you,
one.
because
That's true, actually. But like,
I don't know who
every
these people
movie,
are.
though.
It's me.
But there's goofs for every movie. Like every single movie out there, there's goof section. It's like, I don't know. There must be one person who just looks for the falsenesses of the.
There's got to be people who like are so used to looking for that's like all they're looking for in a movie is like as they're watching, they're just like, boom, that's wrong. Boom, there it is.
I would hate that.
Continuity
Actually.
errors. Like, I love people pointing out like continuity errors.
It is funny. I mean, yeah. But I don't know. Do you watch those videos? I think it's a YouTube series where they talk about everything wrong with this movie or something. Have you seen those? Like, there's a channel that goes like everything wrong with whatever movie, and they go through. I hate those just because like they're literally thinking of ways to hate on a movie. Like, everything wrong with Scream. I'm like,
when it's like, if you saw this, it's this time, and they're technically 20 miles apart. So that would mean that they would have to be running at this speed.
That to me is just
there.
completely useless information.
Yeah, don't focus on the negative. Is
Exactly.
yeah.
That's what I did like though about Eric, when we were talking to Eric Billich, and he was saying, like, he's like, you don't have to like the movie, but like,
Right.
tell me where the plot holes are, kind of thing, where he was like, there isn't any, like,
Right.
kind of
'Cause
being like,
clearly-
I wrote this so well, you don't have to like it, you could say it's garbage, but there are no plot holes.
Right. Like like clearly people write, they have a plot in their head that makes sense. So like there's definitely, I don't know, when there's plot holes, quote unquote, I feel like there's not actually plot holes. I feel like it's just interpreted differently.
Yeah, I just like that, like when people go about it, so like clearly thinking of all the details to be like, that is where I will stand.
Right.
Is that I've thought this through. Not being like, no, come on, it's good. It's good. They're like, no, you can hate it, but it is thought out. It is.
Just appreciate it. Should we rate it? I mean, there's not much. Is there anything else you guys want to?
Do we need to?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
You go first.
Okay.
Start us off.
I did not love this movie. I liked the idea of this movie. I'm gonna go like 4.9 because 5 feels right, but almost too generous. So I'm going 4.9 flaming sleeping bags because that was just the weirdest thing.
That was a book right out of Friday the 13th, kind of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
part 6, he like lights a girl on fire in her sleeping bag and just takes her and hits her against a tree. It's one of the best kills in the franchise.
I'd like to think that they were like doing
Friday the
like
13th, part 6.
Jesus.
I'd like to think they were doing a tip of the hat to that or something, but I don't think
Probably not.
they were.
We should reach out to these directors or this director.
Yeah. But yeah, 4.9 flaming dudes thrown off the cliff.
I'll go. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like hate it, but I didn't love it. This was like, I would say this is like along the lines of a lot of the random horror movies I'll watch. Like this is just like right in the middle of those. Like a lot of them are like this because they're lower budget. So I'm like used to this type of movie. So it didn't bother me. And I was like, oh, fun. This is, it's a fun premise. It was a cool idea with the whole climbing thing. I'm not a climber, so I'm not like, I don't know. I would do like ice climbing and stuff, but I don't know. I'm not a huge rock climber or anything. So I never watch, like I've never seen Free Solo. I don't watch any of that stuff, but this is cool. I think it's fun. Some cool shots, bad acting, questionable CGI, interesting location. I'm gonna go 4 as well. SD cards because that's what they were looking for.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the snake.
Oh yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, your worst nightmare, heights and snakes.
Yes, that would freak me out for sure. Anyway.
I can recommend this to people like myself who like lower budget indie horror thrillers. If you like those type of movies, you would probably somewhat enjoy this because you know what you're gonna get. Yeah.
Everything now is based on the Tusk scale of I gave it a 2, so like it's kind of really the floor for me. I can't really go when we get the movie that goes below it.
I was gonna say I'm surprised you didn't give
Crazy.
Tusk like a 0 or like a 0.5.
I would have, but I gave it 2 for 2 Tusks. It's the only reason I even remember what
Seems
I
like
gave
a
it.
poor reason to give it such a high score.
I know, I just kind of shifted 0 up to 2.
Yeah.
We're gonna go 2.5. We're gonna go a CGI 2.5.
CGI 2.5.
I just think it was really bad, but it had an interesting plot.
There you go.
That they didn't. I think they could have gone somewhere with it, but they didn't.
I
But
agree. I agree with that.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
So also nothing about this is anything I like in movies. So like it's
Right,
it's
yeah.
starting pretty low, and it only can go lower.
If this was like a more of a thriller, kind of like a not really with no horror elements, kind of just like I don't
Like an
know.
action climbing movie.
I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. I mean, it kind of is an action climbing movie, but like
They're
they
also
make
kind
it
of just on a ledge, though.
right. Yeah, I don't know. But they make it horror, like the music and everything makes it more horror. Like it makes it ominous, and it's like I don't know. There's a horror element to it which I liked, but if that element wasn't there, this would have been lower for me.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
But would I rewatch it? No. But you know what? Check another movie off the list.
Yeah. I feel like it's like you don't want to do it again, but like you're happy you did it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a movie like this, so
Like I wouldn't say this was as like I would take that hour or two back that I watched Tusk and be like, I'd rather spend my hour or two doing something different. But like this one, I was like, yeah, you know.
I'm glad I've set the bar.
Yeah, we're just absolutely trashing Tusk.
Yeah, I'm just glad because I felt pretty bad after choosing the little things. And now both of you guys have chosen.
Hey,
We've
they
all
all
done
going to
it,
be
so.
winners.
Although to be fair, I think we rated the little things like 5s and 6s, or maybe even 7.
I mean, it wasn't
Maybe
terrible. It
even
just
9.
wasn't.
9
just
to
wasn't-
10, honestly.
Yeah, just wasn't the best.
I mean, the only thing that had going for it was Jared Leto. So.
I got movie news talking about Jared Leto, but
Oh, me too. Should we
Jared
just
Leto
transition
watch.
then?
Should we? Yeah.
Let's just do
Yeah.
it. You go for it. I want to see if it's the same thing.
I saw that him and Anne Hathaway are in the We Crashed movie coming out. It's like about WeWork. And one, man, I don't know if it's coming off House of Gucci or if it's just, I'm not a huge Leto fan. Not in the sense he's bad. I just like, anytime I just like wish it was a different actor playing the role, kind of deal. Like, and I'm just so bummed because I don't know if this is the same project or maybe it's a different project on WeWork, but like a year or two ago, it was announced that Nicholas Braun, who's cousin Greg in Succession, was going to play Adam Newman, who is like the WeWork guy who Jared Leto's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so bummed to see Jared Leto because like I was like, I want to see cousin.
Well, that's
Greg
probably
as
why,
him.
because they rumored Nicholas Braun, and you got your hopes up.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But every time, like, it's not that Jared Leto's bad. It's just like there's always someone else that I'm like, I wish like this person was playing this role, not Jared Leto.
Yeah,
like,
I think
Jared
he's
Leto's
like
kind of
Hollywood's
always
default.
Yeah, he's like Hollywood's default out of your mind character.
Right.
Which he plays well, but like I don't know. Adam Newman is out of his mind, but I wanted the cousin Greg version. It would been way more subtle than Jared Leto's like always very over the top. Jared Leto subtle and Jared Leto isn't like a thing. I don't think you can put together.
No.
So I'm excited for that, and I like Anne Hathaway, obviously, but again, just a little bummed that it was Jared Leto.
See, I don't like Anne Hathaway, so we kind of go both ways on that. And I don't know anything about that. Like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't know that movie was a thing until the trailer came out. I was like, "What is that? What happened? Like, what's the movie about?"
The whole company, it's this crazy like burning money. They lost all this money. Adam Newman, the founder, was doing very kind of sketchy things, like owning the property that technically the company was like renting from him. It's just one of these like Silicon Valley founder stories where the founder is like incredibly charismatic and like kind of people were blind to what they were doing for years until they crashed and burned. And it's just a story of that kind of, but
it's like a subgenre now. I feel like
Silicon Valley is a subgenre now. Yeah,
I like it, but also they're still glorifying these people. Like they still glorified Mark Zuckerberg in Social Network, even though he was a dick.
Yeah, this is a little different than the Social Network, I'd say. Like these are
okay. Like, I like the Social Network, but they're still like putting these people on a pedestal, even though they're not great people.
I mean, and I don't know. This has always been an argument, but it's been way clear after the Social Network came out that Mark maybe is not. I don't know. It's a complicated thing, but I don't think a lot of people like Mark nowadays, and I think it's clearer than when that movie came out. It wasn't as atrocious, the things they were doing.
Gotcha.
But like these are Theranos Theranos. I
don't
combine. I
know
will.
how to say it.
One is the Marvel character. One is the infamous startup. I will never remember the difference between the two.
That's funny.
But like, like that is very much this is when it's like somebody was what I feel like there's even a million other ones, but I can't think of anything
right
off the top of my head. But they're like these.
I mean, Wolf
The
of Wall
founder
Street
was truly like it's
is
like
like-
smoke and mirrors the whole time, kind of.
right.
A little bit like it kind of almost was never working, but they kind of put on this show, or like Firefest, even kind of.
Yeah.
Right. Like that thing was a mess all the time.
Yeah.
It's so I don't know. And there might be like I was saying, like, I don't know if this is the same project. Anytime there's something like this, I feel like there's like 6 projects in the work about the WeWork story.
Right.
So it's like maybe the Nicholas Braun was attached to a project that like didn't even happen or something. Like maybe it wasn't actually being replaced in this one.
It could be a different, like a different version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like and then there's always going to be like the documentary version,
right, the TV series,
the
or something.
the TV series,
or the docu-series.
Exactly, that's what I mean. There will be like 4 different ones.
Like the Ted Bundy, like they've done so many different things about Ted Bundy, and they're still making Ted Bundy things.
Yeah, look, glorifying him.
Exactly. And
Right.
don't get me wrong, I love true crime and stuff, but it does make him somewhat of like a star, which is what he wants. But it's
I do love I'm gonna get the it might be Jim Norton who did it, or Tom Papa. I think Jim Norton, who talked about when the Ted Bundy things were coming out, and he was like, everyone said he was this like genius and how he represented himself in court. And he was like, he got the death penalty. He did the worst you could do. He could have had a dog represent him and he would have got the same outcome. Why are we talking about this guy like he's a genius?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I'm glad he's dead so he can't watch all this stuff, because he would love this, I feel like. But I wonder if they'll probably make a Bezos movie, right? At some point.
Probably.
Oh,
They have to, like an Amazon, but it's got to be an Amazon original, probably.
I kind of wouldn't, I kind of wouldn't want Amazon to do it. They're gonna be too biased.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want it either, but they'll probably do it at some point.
I want it
How
to be
funny
made
would
by
that
I don't know, like produced by the Union of Amazon Workers or something.
Would that be hilarious if like Netflix came out with like a Bezos movie and then Amazon came out with like one at the same time, but like Netflix's was this like, he's not this great of a guy, and Amazon's is like a superhero movie. Like Bezos is a superhero.
I mean, if you think about it, like I haven't seen the other ones, but I've only seen, what was it, Jobs, the Michael Fassbender one, but I haven't seen the Ashton Kutcher one. Like those are probably very different point of views, and like there's definitely a couple more movies like that about him.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why there's I feel like those are like the 2 different subgenres, where there's like Jobs, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk, like all these guys who are like questionable for another reason, but they have built like these large companies, where like this other genre of like WeWork and Theranos and stuff is kind of these like people who like actually it never was together and it was all a show like the whole time, so it's like when they crash and burn, it was like you don't even have anything. The other ones, it's like we're questioning what they're doing with all their power,
right?
And this other one's like smoke and mirrors, like how did they fool this many people?
I guess I would be more interested in the smoke and mirrors type then, because I'll probably definitely watch We Crashed just because Jared Leto's in it, but also like I don't know anything about it, so that's how I learned some information, which can also be contradicting though, because it's like any docs out there, like the filmmakers are going to make you think a certain way. Like you have to read all the art, you have to read everything about it. One source can't make you think a certain way about something, I feel like, because like you watch The Social Network, you're like, all right, I know exactly all I need to know about Mark Zuckerberg. It's like you need to read books, you need to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That's what my problem with, like, I love docs, but I also hate them at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. I mean, randomly, if you want to get into WeWork, there's like one of the Gimlet podcasts did like a 7-part series on WeWork that was really good. Like there is a lot out there.
I'm sure that's
really good. But as in, like you said, like read all of it.
Yeah, like I think about like I don't even know because I don't watch them, but there's a lot of like Netflix, things that come out like docuseries or whatever, and everyone watches it and they're like, oh yeah, this, everyone thinks a certain way just because Netflix made something like that makes you think a certain way, I feel like. And then I don't know, that's just how it goes.
We're describing like marketing.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It always blows my
Mob
mind.
mentality.
Like, yeah, the whole
Literally.
like the ability to shift like large number of people's perceptions of something just by like making a movie or like
Right.
writing a story or writing an article or whatever. It's crazy that works. But
I mean, I use this
does.
as an example. My example I always use is the documentary Soaked in Bleach, the Kurt Cobain one about his death. And there's like a bunch of docs about it, I think, but this is the only one I've seen. And they by the end of it, they make you firmly believe that Courtney Love like set it up and killed him or whatever. And like that's the only one I've seen. So it's like that's my perception of it. It's like I don't know. It's very interesting.
yeah.
I don't know.
There was some psychology, like a psychology term that I always think of with this podcast, because it was like along the lines of like after you talk about a certain thing to like other people, it like changes how you think about it and like averages it out and stuff. But like I'm trying to remember specifically because it made me think about it of how we always come to we talk about the movies and review them. And like a lot of times, at least for me, it'll be like, oh, like I actually like this movie better after talking to you guys about it. Because there is this like psychological thing about other people and talking through it where you end, but it's just so noticeable because I think and maybe you guys too have said that like multiple times, being like, actually, I do like this. I came in thinking it was this, but after talking, I think I'm going to bump it up to like this other level.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I mean, I've bumped my ratings up quite a bit. I feel like a bunch of times.
I feel like in a way that's like just indicative that like talking through movies is fun and it's enjoyable and it makes you like almost like it more,
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, because you could like as much as I love like going to theaters and stuff by myself and enjoying it, having that, I don't know, there's certain feeling I get when I watch a movie I really like, but like it's so much better to talk about it with someone. I don't know. It's just different. It's like going to a concert, you want to enjoy that with someone. I mean, as much as it's fun, you can go by yourself and stuff. It's like way more fun to experience things with other people.
There's also this, I heard Malcolm Gladwell mention it, this thing called Gelman's amnesia. That's like, when you're talking about documentaries and stuff, with like in areas that you're really well versed in or not. Like he was saying, like he's a really big runner, and like very follows that running world and stuff. And when he reads like an article published in something about running, he's like, this person's getting it all wrong. This is not right. Like this whole thing. But then if you read like an article from like the same person on something you don't know, you're like, wow, this is like crazy. And you believe everything.
Right.
But like, and you don't actually carry it over. But I feel like it's like documentaries where like, if you're really in the space or something, you're like very critical of it. But then you forget that like, if you're not in the space, you just kind of take it all for like, it must all be true kind of thing. Like without even like looking at anything else. You're like, yeah, they told me.
Totally.
Also,
I mean, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to derail very quick when you said it. Do you guys say documentary?
Yeah. Documentary. Yeah.
Okay. I think
I think it's a Rochester thing.
I've heard it. Somebody actually said it on a podcast. Their producer said it.
No.
And everyone made fun of him for saying it, but he's from Buffalo. And so I think it's like a Western New York documentary.
It's dumb. No, it's spelled
like
Terry.
Instead of saying Terry,
it's spelled Terry.
Like elementary.
Can we
elementary.
just agree to call them docs?
I've started calling them docs because people make fun of me for it.
Yeah, and instead of elementary school, I say manor school.
Yeah, same. Me too. But it's still elementary. It's spelled Tary. Tell me how that's tree.
I just wanted to make sure that really was a Western New York thing, because it's one of those things like when I don't even know how I say it anymore once I start being like What
Yeah,
do
because
I
I
say?
pause when I say it, and I'm like documentary.
Documentary. Anyways, don't write in. Don't tell us.
But
Um,
but documentaries, like I prefer docs that are like more like behind. Like I love documentaries about movies and stuff, making movies, because there's no opinion. It's just what happened. Like it's like, oh, how is this made? Interview the cast, the crew, show behind the scenes videos, photos. There's no like, oh, you have to believe this person's, got millions of dollars this way. It's just like a
I don't know,
simple.
man. We're interviewing people. They're telling stories.
That's
It's all
true.
conspiracy.
It's all it's all the Truman Show.
Oh man, what a terrifying! Actually, a truly like I think that is like a horror movie, The Truman Show. You watch that, and then who doesn't watch that and think like a little bit after being like, "Am I, in The Truman Show?" Like that's like a psychological horror movie. I think.
Oh yeah, it's along the lines of like Twilight Zone. It's like a more drama-filled Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah. I still need to watch the new Twilight Zones. I watched one episode.
I think you might like. I have some issues with it, but overall, they're better than like the '90s and '80s.
Oh, all right. If I ever remember, I'll continue.
Maybe I'll pick one because maybe I'll pick an episode.
Mm.
Be kinda fun.
I just remember watching the first one. I think it was like a stand-up comic.
Oh yeah, that one was okay. That was maybe one of the, I don't know. I'll have to rewatch them. The one with Gillian Jacobs was pretty
It's
good.
Gillian.
That one was pretty good. That was one of my favorite ones, I think.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple good ones. It's kind of like a toned down Black Mirror.
Uh-huh. Which sounds great.
Yeah. Because Black Mirror can get too much.
Black Mirror was quite a
I kind of want to
quite a
rewatch
thing.
some of the episodes of Black Mirror, but they're really depressing.
They are. I just like there's like a nostalgic factor of like a few shows like the beginning of Stranger Things and that because it was like early
Yeah.
Portland and it was like there was so much hype when it came out, it was like, oh my god, Black Mirror came out. So like we all would like sit down and be like, we gotta watch this is crazy.
Even when
It wasn't
Griffin
just,
visited,
like,
we did that. Like he
Yeah,
watched
it wasn't like, oh, let's just like throw this on, it might be good. There was like so much hype that it was like you have to sit down and watch it.
I miss shows like that. Like there hasn't been, for me at least, there hasn't been a show. I mean, besides the It's Always Sunny, the new season, but like there hasn't been really a show where I'm like, oh, I mean, Stranger Things still, like I'm excited for that. But
I mean, I think it's still possible because it wasn't that long ago, but I think it's just because there's so much out now that it's hard. Like Squid Games is the last one I can think of where it just seemed like everybody, I wasn't sitting down like that, but it's just like everyone in the world when that came out seemed to be like, you gotta watch Squid Games. Oh my God. Like, this is crazy. Where normally it's just like it drops and then it's just like, oh, it's number one on Netflix. And you're like, oh, I don't even know what this is, but
you know what's
cool.
funny though, like about those types of movies and shows, like Squid Game, for example, like no one's talking about it anymore.
It's real fast.
Like that should happen so much. Like it's rare to have a piece of media that's like sticks with you. It's like for me, like I've been thinking about, I don't know, there's some movies and shows that I just constantly think about and like watch. And like that's really hard to do. And I feel like there's so many shows. I mean, Netflix is like the king of that. Like, oh, let's make this 1 month long fad and then make a bunch of money and then make something else in the next coming months. Like they don't go for longevity. They're there for the short game.
I wish they wouldn't. I find, I don't know if you, so like, if you had to say a split of like new movies versus like classics, and that could mean classic to you or just like classic generally. Like, I actually watch a fair number of movies, like when it's like, hey, I'm not trying to watch something new. I just want to watch something I know I'm going to love.
A lot of the time.
That's like, if I had to put a number to that, I'd say that's probably like 40 to 50% of.
Yeah, I agree with that. I could see that. For me, at least with shows, like I find myself rewatching shows than watching new shows. But with movies, I watch more new movies than, I mean, depends. Like, yeah, like you said, like if I'm just kind of throw something on, I'll throw like a random comedy from like the early 2000s on that I used to love, or like Mike or like Mighty Ducks or something like that I know I'm gonna like. But with shows, it's like, and shows the same kind of way where I'm like, I don't know what to watch. I'll throw on Boy Meets World or whatever, Saved by the Bell. Like I'm not gonna just, I don't know. I'm more reserved, I guess, with that So maybe I'm more like 70-30.
It's interesting. I think it probably actually has to do with Jon Stewart's, new show he has on Apple. The problem is with Jon Stewart. He's talking about like the news and stuff, but I think this crosses over with like, I think they do that all because it's like people, they follow what like audience metrics. So it's like people don't stay with shows long, they move on, there's other stuff. So it's like, let's just drop it all at once and like do a huge blitz and then move on kind of deal. Cause like that's what people kind
It's
of
attention
are
span.
doing
It's like
now.
TikTok. It's like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Attention spans just
Jon
keep getting
Stewart's
shorter.
thing was like, rather than like just trying to create something you think the audience will like, and then like the audience will come if it is good kind of deal, instead of like reverse engineering, like what is the audience like? Okay, let's make that. And he said when he signed with Comedy Central, and he like thought like for the Daily Show, and he was like, I was like 35. I thought it was funny that he's like, I was at the end of my Hollywood career, I was 35. But he was saying that like he told Comedy Central like basically like I need freedom to like make what we think is good rather than like you telling us what the audience wants. And like that is my one, I'm not going to do this if I don't have that. And he was like, and look, you can fire me if that isn't what the audience likes. Like, like it's, I don't need you to commit to sticking with me, but I need the freedom to do that rather than reverse engineering. But I think that's a lot of like content these days. It's like whether we're like reverse engineering, like, oh, this topic is really popular now in this format, and we'll like fit it in really fast here because like this is what the numbers make sense, versus just like some director or something being like, this is the thing I want to make.
Right. And I mean, it's funny because like you see a lot of directors pull out for movies because they didn't agree with the studio, and I think that's my problem. And that's why I like the directors I like, and especially horror, because it's like, they don't have all these companies telling them what to do, telling them what the audience wants, telling them what the producers want. Like they make their like whatever they want. And like you can tell they put their emotion and they put their self in the movie. Like you can, like when I'm watching like Hereditary or something, like I'm like, this is Ari Aster like in a movie. Like it's just such a different vibe when it's so, I don't know. It's very, it's like they think about the project and the story and like their passion first. It's like more passion focused, I think, which was what I like about it. Like I'm much more of the passion side of things, where you can tell this person's super passionate about the work that they made. Like, even though it's more blockbustery, like I honestly feel like Don't Look Up is a good example of like a good blockbuster, like a good blend. Cause like, even though it was a little too like Hollywood maybe for me, it was still like, you could tell Adam McKay was still passionate about this topic.
And you could tell it was Adam McKay.
And you could tell it was Adam McKay. Yeah. But like you have like, for like going back to Squid Game, it's like, to me, there was no passion in that show. Like I wasn't like, who directed, like I didn't care who directed. It just felt like a Netflix show. And that does not suit, but that doesn't go well.
You said it in House of Gucci when we were talking about Ridley Scott. You were like, I think anyone could have directed this.
It didn't feel like anything different, or like there was no passion behind it. Like, I don't know.
Joe's passion meter.
Passion meter. Yeah.
Some people have like Rotten Tomato scales, and Joe has passion meters.
Passion
That'd be
meter.
cool. That'd be cool.
That would actually be cool. I need to get a shirt, passion meter. But wow, that evolved into a great conversation.
Yeah.
The ledge to passion.
Maybe
meter.
we just chop the ledge part out of the episode.
That could be its own episode.
But I'm glad you guys watched this and we can move on with our lives.
I'm glad we went with something new.
Yeah.
Can we get a quick passion meter score on the ledge?
Ooh, I'm gonna start doing passion meters. Actually, this is great.
Yeah, I love this.
Okay, this is gonna be a little surprising, but I felt some passion in this movie. Like, I mentioned rock climbers made a movie. Like, I feel like there were actually people who are interested in rock climbing. I felt passion for rock climbing in this movie. Passion for maybe a thriller, but it didn't come off well. So I think the passion for rock climbing was there. So
yeah, I tend to agree. I think someone clearly was a rock climber who was involved with that movie. and like, I don't know, like I think there's a lot of relatable elements, like, I mean, if you like losing someone, which like that applies to pretty much everyone. Like, I don't know. There's definitely on the passion meter, I would say there was an attempt.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 6 out of 10. Passion.
Yeah. All right. All right. I like that.
Wow.
Maybe no, actually, I'm gonna go 5. Sorry, that was a little too much there.
The director's watching and he's like, 6 night. 5. Okay.
I was like, that's not even what we rated. That's the passion of it. All right, I'll go 5 passion on the passion.
But
scale.
I do love if somebody does feel passionate about it. I love that they feel passionate about it because it's not the same passion.
Exactly.
The passion scale is not the same across people.
I also love that. I'm hoping that the director wasn't the commenter of the 10 out of 10 because their passion for the movie was great. So
I
They
agree.
just love the movie.
That was a passionate comment. 10 out of 10. I would rate that comment 10 out of 10.
passion meter. I love it. All right, cool. Is that a wrap?
I think so.
Have you guys seen Search Party?
I'll just, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna, from like one of the previous episodes where you talk about it, I'm just gonna cut it into every episode. I mean, would you like to talk about Search Party?
No, you guys should just check it out though. Check it out.
One of these times I actually am.
Oh,
Oh my God. The week that you guys come and you're like, we watched Search Party.
Maybe I started it and I just don't want to talk about it until I finish it.
On that.
Trust me, when you start it, you'll finish it in a day. So it's that good.
Have you seen the Batman yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, go see it.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's about a superhero.
After you watch Search Party, it's
I think we should have an episode where we each watch a movie that we've been wanting each other to watch, or a
I like
show,
that.
or like we have to do it and then we talk about it.
all right.
I mean, it's essentially what we do anyway, but we actually have to do it.
And
But we
TV
each
show
talk
stuff.
about each other's pick. Like we almost.
It's a
pick
good
each
way
other.
to like force your friends to do something that maybe
Exactly.
they weren't ready to do yet, which is actually perfect that we're talking about this in the ledge. So
You can watch The Ledge again. There you go.
love it.
All right, I think that's a wrap. Unless you guys have anything else to say.
No, it's really impressive that we always do these in one shot, one take though. First roll.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
I love a good one take.